From Canto 4, chapter number 26, verse number 6 onwards. Let's offer prayers together. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Nashtaprayeshu Trishu Nityam Bhavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Nashtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Om Jnanatirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Pashatade Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gau Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So welcome you all for today morning, this Bhagavat live program, where we're continuing to read from 4th canto, chapter number 22, as Vishnu had predicted in chapter 20th. Hey Pṛthu Mahārāja, someday, soon, the 4 Kumaras, the exalted personalities will come and give your association. Right at the end of the yajna, not at the end of yajna, the speech at the end of the yajna, at the end of the speech at yajna, Pṛthu Mahārāja concluded, and then the sages spoke, and then the assembled, the representative of the assembled people, public, they spoke. And then begins the chapter 22, where Maitreya Muni informs Vidurji. After this, the 4 Kumaras descended. So we read up to 5th verse or the 6th verse. We'll continue from there. You have it? Let's recite text number 6 we read yesterday. Translation. The 4 great sages were elder to Lord Shiva, and when they were seated on the golden throne, they appeared just like a fire blazing on an altar. Mahārāja Pṛthu, out of his great gentleness and respect for them, began to speak with great restraint as follows. So we were talking about what great restraint means and the conclusion of our yesterday's discussion. So let's read further. Pṛthurvacha Aho Acharitam Kim Me Mangalam Mangalayanaha Yasya Vo Darshanam Hyasit Durdarashanam Cha Yogibhihi. King Pṛthu spoke.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. You got muted.
Prabhu has got logged out, I believe.
Paratracha Yasya Vipra Prasidanti Shivo Vishnuscha Sanugaha. Any person upon whom the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are pleased can achieve anything which is very rare to obtain in this world as well as after death. Not only that, but one who receives the favor of the auspicious Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu, who accompany the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. The two things have been said here. If we please the Vaishnavas, all our desires can be fulfilled. When we please the Vaishnavas,
क्या बात क्लास हुई नहीं
a little more than toilet. I would buy another that I would buy naked, not a single piece of cloth on the body. Bible looks who would accept the great sages. And therefore here Pṛthu is saying something okay. That's why I'm wrong. Video streaming, again more bandwidth will be needed. All right. So that's the idea in text number 9. Because Pṛthu Maharaj, done? Yeah. Because the four Kumaras looks for the scepter. A person who is not very rich and is attached to family life becomes highly glorified when saintly persons are present in his home. The master and servants who are engaged in offering the exalted visitors water, a sitting place, and a paraphernalia for reception are glorified, and the home itself is also glorified. So Pṛthu Maharaj is saying two things here, Purport. Prabhupada writes, materially, if a man is not very rich, so generally it's not considered auspicious or glorious. And spiritually, if a man is too attached to family life, again it's not considered glorious. So materially, if you're not rich, not glorious. Spiritually, if you're not detached, again you're not glorious. But even in such a case, your life can become glorious if such a person gets an opportunity to host sadhus. Prabhupada writes, but saintly persons are quite ready to visit the house of a poor man or man who is attached to material family life. When this happens, the owner of the house and servants are glorified because they offer water, washing the feet. In other words, they get to serve. The conclusion, Prabhupada writes, this is a very important purpose. I was actually thinking to finish the chapter, but then I felt there's no point. Purports are very practical and important, so we're going to go with the purports here. The conclusion that if a saintly person goes to the house of even an unimportant man, such a person becomes glorious by his blessings. It is therefore the Vedic system that a householder invite a saintly person his own to receive his blessings. The system is still current in India. And the saintly persons, wherever they go, are hosted by the householders, who in turn get an opportunity to receive transcendental knowledge. It is the duty of a sannyasi, therefore, to travel everywhere just to favor the householders who are generally ignorant of the values of spiritual life. Prabhupada writes in the next paragraph, what if the person, householder, is not rich? Now, generally, sadhus are not alone. They have their entourage. Prabhupada gives an example of the Rasamuni coming to meet Pandavas with 60,000 disciples. Then Prabhupada says in the purport, next paragraph in the middle, the fact is that every householder, regardless of his position or economic condition, can at least receive saintly guests with great devotion offer them drinking water, but drinking water is always available. I guess it costs today, Bisleri 20 rupees or something, liter. Even water is not free. In India, the custom is that even an ordinary person is offered a glass of water if he suddenly visits, and one cannot offer him foodstuff. If there is no water, then one can offer a sitting place. And if one has no straw mat, he can immediately cleanse the ground and ask the guest to sit there. Supposing that a householder cannot even do that, then with folded hands, he can simply receive the guest saying, "Welcome." And if he cannot do that, then he should feel very sorry for his poor condition and shed tears and simply offer obeisance with his whole family, wife, and children. And this way, he can satisfy any guest if the guest is a saintly person or a king. So that's the idea here. It's a very important importance of hosting devotees at home, like that. Text number 11. On the contrary, even though full of all opulence and material prosperity, none of the contrary example. This example was somebody is poor. Now, what if the householder is very rich? Text number 11. On the contrary, even though full of all opulence and material prosperity, any householder's house where the devotees of the Lord are never allowed to come in, and where there is no water for washing their feet, is to be considered a tree in which all venomous serpents live. This is spoken by Pṛthu Mahārāja, a householder. Okay? So we cannot have perceptions here. Sadhu is saying, householder is saying. So in the purport in the middle, you'll see the Vaishnava sannyasis travel all over the world to make every place a place of pilgrimage by the touch of their lotus feet. Found it? Yeah? Kaushal, please read further. Kaushal, Prabhu, give him the mic.
The Vaishnava sannyasis travel all over the world to make every place a place of pilgrimage by touch of their lotus feet. It is mentioned here that any house...
Go down. We're talking the next paragraph. Yeah, over, up. Bus face. The Vaishnava sannyasi. It is mentioned, yeah.
It is mentioned here that any house which does not receive a Vaishnava in the manner already explained in the previous verse is to be considered the residential quarter of venomous serpents. It is said that around the sandalwood tree, which is a very valuable tree, there is a venomous serpent. Sandalwood is very cold, and venomous serpents, because of their poisonous teeth, are always very warm, and they take shelter of the sandalwood trees to become cooler. Similarly, there are many rich men who keep watchdogs or doormen and put up signs that say, "Do not enter, trespassers not allowed, beware of dogs," etc. Sometimes in Western countries, a trespasser is shot, and there is no crime in such shooting. This is the position of demoniac householders, and such houses are considered to be the residential quarters of venomous snakes.
Anthony, this is the house. What about the family members? Read further.
The members of such families
Prabhupada doesn't leave anywhere. Huh? Please read.
are no better than snakes, because snakes are very much envious, and when that envy is directed to the saintly persons, their position becomes more dangerous. It is said by Chanakya Pandit that there are two envious living entities, the snake and the envious man. The envious
And
man,
among the two, who is more dangerous? Because he looks trustworthy. At least snake, you know that it cannot be trusted. Opposites. Go ahead. Further.
the envious man is more dangerous than a snake, because a snake can be subdued by charming mantras or by some herbs, but an envious person cannot be pacified by any means.
And the nature of this world is everyone is envious. So, therefore, when we talked about Pṛthu Mahārāja in the previous chapter, when he got up to address the assembly, that particular verse Prabhupada said, he spoke in such a way because considering there will be some envious people, so therefore he addressed first the sages, which means the well-wishers. So there is a way to speak in a public forum. I'll give you an example. One of our devotees was in a literary exhibition. He had written a book many years ago, and he was called up on the stage, and there had to be what he called as kind of a talk show, but there are multiple personalities sitting. There are there is one host and 4 guest speakers are sitting there. Panel, yeah, panel could be a better word to say that way. He was the only one in that whole panel who believed in existence of God, or in today's language you can call right wing. you know, all three, all left wing, leftist, communist, and whatnot. So when he got up on the stage, he knew whatever he's going to say will be argued by not one person, but three voices. I want all of you to, for a second, if you can put yourself into a situation, I want you to think about it. If you are speaking 1 versus 3 or 3 versus 1, every point that you'll make, there's going to be a argument for it, and supported by other two people. Now, you still have come from some culture, Vaishnava culture, Vaishnava etiquette. You would not expect that in a public forum where such kind of individuals sitting. They may scream at you, they may shout, raise a voice, they may become personal also. There may be a personal attack also. All possible in this kind of thing. So my question to you is, now how would you conduct yourself? How would you speak the truth? And you can't now speak their language, because you're so scared. You lost the battle. You can't change your position. You became scared. So how do you speak the truth now? Very complex situation. And I could say this is first principle in public speaking. You don't speak to these people who are envious. You speak for the sake of the people who are non-envious. You speak the truth for them and don't get caught up in their emotional challenges. Because if you get caught up in their emotional challenges, the message that you went to deliver will get distracted and you will get caught up in their trap of defending yourself or defending your viewpoint. Nothing to do about it. Therefore, I have been lately speaking about purpose. Because I notice hardly anyone's function with that idea of purpose. Why did I went on the stage, for example? The purpose is I've been given an opportunity, there are hundreds of audience sitting there, and I've got a platform where I can speak, and whoever is non-envious or less envious will get the message, will an opportunity to take forward. What else can you do? You can't do much. You have 40 minutes to 1 hour of kind of interaction. Now, you can focus on that, or you can get caught up by that. Because when you're moving forward, there would always be people who are going to pull your leg. Do you want to waste your energy with them, or do you want to keep moving forward? Because if you keep on wasting energy with them, defending, protecting, and whatnot, or trying to change them, imagine you sit down on the stage thinking that I want to preach to this leftist. I'm going to change their viewpoint. They're hardcore into that. Even in a personal setting, they may change, but now in a public setting, they will not. For which audience then you want to speak? The audience in the masses. Because those are not known. Some could be leftist or some could be regular. But if you focus on that regular audience and focus on your message and keep stating the same thing, so as the saying goes, the caravan must continue. The dogs will bark, let them bark, don't get distracted. And this is how the life has to function. And therefore, Pṛthu Mahārāja, he got up, and Prabhupada categorically writes in the purport, if you remember, I emphasize also that. Prabhupada is saying there would be some envious people, which is by default the way the world is designed. Don't get caught up by them. Don't lose sight of your focus and purpose. Therefore, Pṛthu Mahārāja got up and he spoke to the assembled sages and Prabhupada said Vaishnavas. And then he spoke to the public. Because you can't change the heart of an envious person so easily. Which mentioned here? But an envious person cannot be pacified by any means. Do you have any solution for an envious person? Even if you smile at him, he will doubt you. Yes or no? Now somebody may call you that, Prabhu, you don't smile, you're very grave. So now you think, okay, just to please him, I'm going to smile. So now you smiled, he will have a problem with your smile. Even if you give prasadam, he may have some problem. Of course, we should try to serve at our capacity, no doubt about it, I'm not saying. Prabhupada says, but an envious person cannot be pacified by any means. Oh yeah, that's a whole interesting thing about envy. Text number 12. And one thing is, an envious person would never acknowledge, I'm envious. हम बचपन में सुना करते थे, a fool will never acknowledge he's a fool. He'd always tell, you are a fool. So it becomes very tricky, very tricky. All right, so that's the point is mentioned about here. Text number 12. Swagatam vodija Krishna Yadvratani mumukshavaha Charanti Shraddhaya Dhira Bala Eva Brahanti Cha. Maharaj Pṛthu offered his welcome to the four Kumaras, addressing them as the best of the Brahmanas. He welcomed them, saying, from the beginning of your birth, you strictly observed the vows of celibacy and all that you experienced in the path of liberation. You're keeping yourself just like a small children. At the end of the purport, Prabhupada writes, in other words, everyone should offer respect to a Vaishnava without considering his source of birth, Janma. Vaishnave Jati Buddhi. No one should consider a Vaishnava in terms of birth. The Vaishnava is always the best of the Brahmanas, and as such, one should offer all respects to a Vaishnava. Not only as a Brahmana, but as the best of the Brahmanas. So there have been many issues regarding this also. For example, a guru. Some people have not accepted a guru just because that guru has not been born in a Brahmana family. Because traditionally, guru has to be from a Brahmana family. Traditionally, you know. For some devotees, despite taking the Krishna Kashan, despite chanting the 16 hours Hare Krishna Mantra, will only accept their guru who by birth is Brahmana. So, are they wrong? Well, scripturally it's not mentioned like that. So, now from where does the understanding comes? This is called conditioning. From family misunderstandings like that. So that happens. Text number 13. Now Pṛthu Mahārāja will, after glorifying the four Kumaras, now Pṛthu Mahārāja will put forward his question to four Kumaras. Pṛthu Mahārāja inquired from the sages about persons entangled in this dangerous material existence because of their previous actions. Could such person, whose only aim is sense gratification, be blessed with any good fortune? What do you think? Those who are sense gratifiers, can they be blessed with any good fortune?
बस बेचो विश्व के लिए आशुपे
No, हमारे perspective से. We're saying from our perspective. You understand the good fortune, no? Not their perspective. When it is said, be blessed with any good fortune, the Pṛthu Mahārāja is saying from our perspective. So my question is, can they ever be blessed with good fortune? Yes, Andhra how? That's it. They can be blessed. And the previous verse we talked about, na? Even if the man is poor, yet the Vaishnavas would go to their house just to enlighten them. And somebody, let's say, is has a spiritual culture, but is still very attached to family life. Still, Vaishnavas will go to help him. So, by the association of sadhus, then good fortune can arise. So, yesterday I was speaking about what to ask, what to speak. So, Prabhupada mentions that in the purport. Somebody please read. Andhra, go ahead, you read it. The first few lines of the purport. Mike?
Maharaj Pṛthu did not ask the Kumaras about their good fortune, for the Kumaras
How are you, little kids? He didn't ask that. He asked about the good fortune for all. Please enlighten me how those who are attached can they have a good fortune. Please continue.
For the Kumaras are always auspicious by dint of their life in celibacy. Since they are always engaged on the path of liberation, there was no question of ill fortune. In other words, Brahmanas and Vaishnavas who are strictly following the path of spiritual advancement are always fortunate. The question was asked by Pṛthu Maharaj for his own sake, since he was in the position of a Grihastha and in charge of the royal authority. Kings are not only Grihasthas who are generally absorbed in sense gratification, but are sometimes employed to kill animals in hunting because they have to practice the killing art. Otherwise, it is very difficult for them to fight their enemies.
Okay, so such things are not auspicious, a beautiful purport. And then Prabhupada talks of the four kinds of sinful activities. And then in the next line, for political reasons.
For political reasons, sometimes they have to take these sinful activities. Kshatriyas do not refrain from gambling. One vivid example is Pandavas.
So gambling is permitted for Kshatriyas. There are certain things which are allowed. Brahmanas are not supposed to do that, but Kshatriyas are allowed to do that. But yet, Lord Krishna chastised when Pandava was exiled, and when Krishna came to meet Pandavas, yet Lord Krishna chastised Yudhishthira Maharaj. So if gambling is permitted, then why did not chastise Yudhishthira Maharaj? It was supposed to be a friendly match, but the moment it turned into a competition, Yudhishthira Maharaj should have pulled out. The mistake that Yudhishthira Maharaj did was he got so caught up that he could not pull himself out. That was the thing. See, when he was called for gambling match, the terms and conditions were not put that we're going to have like this. The terms and condition was put forward like it's a friendly match between brothers. And who's going to play the Kaurava side? Duryodhana, not Shakuni. When you came, when you sat down, when the terms and conditions on the fly were changed, and then they discussed, now we're going to put money, we're going to put our wealth, kingdom, and all that on stake. This is where Yudhishthira Maharaj went wrong. Now that becomes a true sense of gambling, from a friendly match to something what is illicit in that way. That was a mistake. Continue.
When the Pandavas were challenged by the opposite party,
Remember in the north, I don't know, some of you might know, in the north, this kind of a gambling is very common. Particularly UP, Uttar Pradesh, some places. How many of you are familiar with this? It's just a friendly thing. They come together, they play, kids even play, and they will exchange goodies like, chocolates, toffees like that. And the seniors may exchange some money amount of this thing. It's a very friendly, it doesn't get into the competitive thing with Dhritarashtra, which Kauravas and Pandavas had. So that is not illicit in that way. It's just done as a game, as a part of the game. But that was a different thing what happened with Yudhishthira there. Yeah, please go ahead.
when the Pandavas were challenged by the opposite party, Duryodhana, to gamble and risk their kingdom, they could not refrain. And by that gambling, they lost their kingdom and their wife was insulted.
That was gambling. Putting their kingdom on stake was a gambling. Prior to that, there's nothing gambling. You're just playing, it's a game. We would have those games where, game is always win and lose. So here is a gambling, you're putting your whole kingdom thinking something else would happen. So that became gambling. Similarly, the Kshatriyas cannot refrain from fighting, all right? Therefore, please read from there.
Therefore, Pṛthu Maharaj, taking consideration of all these facts, inquired whether there is any auspicious path. Grihastha life is inauspicious because Grihastha means consciousness for sense gratification. And as soon as there is sense gratification, one's position is always full of dangers. This material world is said to be padam padam yad vipadam na tesham, dangerous in every step. Bhagavatam 10:14-58. Everyone in this material world is struggling hard for sense gratification. Clearing all these points, Maharaj Pṛthu inquired from the four Kumaras about the fallen conditioned souls who are rotting in this material world due to their past bad or inauspicious activities.
Is there any possibility for their auspicious spiritual life? That's the question. Text number 14. Pṛthu Maharaj continued, my dear sirs, there is no need to ask about your good or bad fortune because you're always absorbed in spiritual bliss. The mental concoction of the auspicious and its auspicious does not exist in you. Prabhupada writes in the purport, after the verse Krodha Bhavati Sammoha, Prabhupada writes, by material association, we lose our spiritual consciousness. Consequently, there is a question of the auspicious and inauspicious, but those who are Atmaram have transcended such questions. The Atmarams, gradually making further progress in spiritual bliss, come to the platform association of the Supreme Lord, that is the perfection of life. Those are the details. Prabhupada writes in the end, conclusion is that for those who are always engaged in bhakti of the Lord, the duality of auspicious and inauspicious does not arise. Kumar therefore asking about auspicious not for the sake of the Kumaras but for his own sake. Next question, text number 15. Tad aham krita vishrambha suhardo vas tapasvinam samprache bhava etasmin shema kenanjasa bhava. I'm completely assured that personalities like you are the only friends for persons who are breathing the fire of material existence. I therefore ask you how in this material world we can very soon achieve the ultimate goal of life. So in this verse, he is literally answering his question. What is the good fortune for them? Personalities like you bring good fortune for them. So therefore now I'm asking you, You bring a good fortune for them, you've given them the access to bhakti. How one can make advancement in bhakti? So precisely the question is, how one can make advancement in bhakti. That's the idea. Very interesting purport again. Somebody else would like to read? When saintly person go from door to door? Ashish, go ahead.
When saintly persons go from door to door to see those who are too much materially engaged, it is to be understood that they do not go to ask anything for their personal benefit. It is a fact that saintly persons go to materialists just to give real information of the auspicious.
So, for the renounced order, we have already understood the duty of a grahastha in the previous purpose. What's the duty of a renounced order then? I mean, give association, give enlightenment. How does it happen? Invitation could be for various reasons. Invitation could be, bro, just please come, have a lunch together, or there could be some event and whatnot. At the least, we have to understand when sadhu goes, or as a brahmana, at least either have some time spent on personal discussion, taking a time and opportunity to ask how are they doing in their spiritual life or personal life. If in case that kind of conversation cannot happen, it depends on situation like that, at least have some kirtan, because you have to do your dharma. Some way you have to fulfill your dharma. You just can't go have Brahman Bhojan and come back. That's not the concept for renounced order. Brahman Bhojan is for Brahmanas, born Brahmanas. That's the concept for them. For renounced order, the concept is, renounced order I refer to, they can be from any varna. It doesn't matter they're born in Kshatriya, Varna, Vaishnava, Vaishya, Shudra. It can be anything. Anyone who ever taken a renounced order, which we're discussing here. So their goal is, when they go, is to help the other person in their spiritual life. Either you spend some time interacting with the family, helping them if they have any questions. If that cannot happen, have some kirtan. At least this should be done before you accept service from them. Because have to be give and take. If they are doing their dharma, you should not forget about your dharma. Therefore, this time with the person, I said nobody will go in the house and nobody is going to cook. Anyone who wants to do, they bring the grains. And let we continue with our cooking. And if somebody really want to serve, then they can come, whatever is cooked, they can serve the brahmanas with their own hands. Simple. Because on Pitru Paksh, then because the occasion is Pitru Paksh, then the whole idea is to feed. The objective is not to have a discussion, getting it? So in that case, because you cannot do your dharma, then that equation has to be changed. So then if your objective is to feed, please come to the temple, you can serve prasadam. The cooking, how it will happen? The cooking will happen by us. So have to be careful about these things. That's the point here. Yeah. Text number 16. The Supreme Personality God is always anxious to elevate the living entities who are his part and parcel, and for their spiritual benefit, the Lord travels all over the world in the form of self-realized persons like you. Pṛthu Maharaj continues speaking on 4 Kumaras. Text number 17, Maitreya Vacha. Maitreya Vacha. Pṛthustas suktamakārnya. Saram shushto mitam madhu. Samyamana iva pritya. Kumara pratyuvachaha. The great Sage Maitreya continued. Thus Sanat Kumar, the best of the celebrates, after hearing the speech, in other words, talking about the quality of speech. After hearing the speech of Pṛthu Maharaj, which was meaningful, appropriate, full of precise words, very sweet. Everyone look here, don't look at the board. Please define meaningful speech. Everyone's attention here, don't look in the book. Please define meaningful speech. Give a try, give an attempt, yes. Beneficial for others. Okay, beneficial for others, meaningful, correct. What else? Meaningful speech. Clear, okay. This is Pṛthu speaking to Kumaras. Kumara speaking to Pṛthu would be meaningful because they're answering. Here's student asking a question. Meaningful. What else? Truthful. Transformational. In asking a question, transformation happens. No, not the speaker is speaking. It's Pṛthu is speaking, na? So if Sanat Kumar speaks, then it is transformational, okay. But Pṛthu is asking questions, not transformational from student to senior.
Relevant with the topic in this case, it was like relevant for all the prajas and
So once his Srimapad Maharaj is very particular. I myself have seen it. So kind of class ended, and Maharaj will always ask. So those of you not know, he often stays in America. Chicago was used to be his base at one point in time. So one devotee asked a question. There were a couple of questions going on, and this devotee asked a question. He raised his hand. Maharaj said, "Yeah, what's your question?" He asked a question which was not discussed anything in the class. Maharaj immediately cut him. I don't think so. I spoke anything on the topic that you're asking. He said, "Yes, Maharaj, this is not from today's class. I had a question." Maharaj said, "Wait. Please, when it is about question answer, please restrict to the subject. If you have anything else, please ask me personally. When it's in the class, only ask question which is relevant to the topic that I've spoken." So again, meaningful, as you're saying, relevant to that. Take care. Okay, what else? Anything else? What was the point? Beneficial, relevant, truthful. Okay, we'll see proper right. Okay, appropriate, full of precise words, very sweet to hear. And then Sanat Kumar smiled with full satisfaction and began to speak as follows. First few lines of the purport. Pṛthu Maharaj's talks before the Kumars were very laudable because of so many qualifications. A speech must be composed of selected words, very sweet to hear and appropriate to the situation. Such speech is called meaningful. Relevant, appropriate to the situation, sweet to hear, and selected words. What was your point? Beneficial. You were saying beneficial, like that. Such speech is called meaningful. All these good qualifications are present in Pṛthu Maharaj's speech because he's a perfect devotee. So in general, this is what Lord Ram said when he met Hanumanji. When I hope I know that beautiful pastime, when Hanuman has dressed as a Brahmana just to come and find out the identity of these two Kshatriyas wandering in the forest. And Ram asked, "Who are you? Please introduce yourself." And Hanuman gave his introduction. After hearing the introduction of Hanuman, Ramji turned toward Lakshman and said, "This person must have read all the scriptures." Lakshman was confused. Imagine you give an introduction. "I am Madan Sundar. I am a monk at ISKCON Pune." How does it say anything about that? I would have read all the scriptures. Imagine if I add, "I'm Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, Bhakti Vedanta, Bhakti Sarvabhauma." Then also you see he might have read up to Chaitanya Charitamrita because the degree represents that. So Lakshman said, "What do you mean?" Then Lord Ram said, "Because his speech is so concise, so meaningful, and so sweet. This purity of speech can only occur when somebody is well versed in the Shastra." What is the reference? 17th chapter, verse number 15. Anudvega karam vakyam satyam priyam hitam chayat swadhyay abhyasanam chaiva. What does Krishna says? Vanmayam tapochyate. Your speech gets purified. Swadhyaya abhyasanam. When you regularly recite scriptures. Swadhyaya abhyasanam chaiva. So you may say, "Prabhu, we see there are certain motivational speakers in the world. They speak in a very attractive way. They attract the hearts of so many people, but it doesn't look like they would have read even Ishopanishad. Let's say NOI, the shortest book. Well, they're reaping the good results of their past action. Maybe in the previous life, there may be some Brahmana in Varanasi, grew up in Gurukul, spent all his life reciting shlokas, and now he must have had some vasanas for name, fame, going to America. So now he's born in America, he has got a motivational speaker, he's got name, fame. Why not? All possibilities there. But Krishna says, Swadhyay, Abhisam. That's the fact, that's the principle, that's the principle. Okay, text number 18. Now Sanat Kumar will begin to give an answer. So 18 to 23, he will speak about the process of advancement in life. So what is the process of advancement in life that you know, that you would like to say? Based on this fourth canto, which has been discussed largely in the first canto, second chapter. What is the process of advancement in spiritual life? One word. Tapasya. Well, sixth canto rejects that. Sukadeva Goswami said, tapasya peksha, no. What tapasya? What else? That one thing which is the foundation, which is all in all for our advancement in spiritual life. Renunciation, not at all. Huh? Humility, okay. Love. After directly, आसमान छू दिया. Love आएगा, धीरे धीरे आएगा. It comes slowly. Good point. Anything else?
Reduction in sense gratification.
Huh?
Reduction in sense gratification.
The process of advancement, these are outcomes. Service, faith, following the Guru. What else? बोलते रहो.
Humbleness, humility.
You're fault finding. Okay. This is advanced. It takes time. Okay. The process, which means it's a process from the day one and it remains a process until day 100. Purification. Chanting. Okay. Good guess. What else? Continue. फटाफट बोलते रहो. Unless you speak that word, I'll keep hearing your options. Huh? Serving with love. Serving with love. What else? What else? Sadhu Sangha. What else?
Gratitude.
Discipline. What else? Let's exhaust your dictionary today.
Inquiry.
What else?
Inquiring.
Serviceableness.
Lordship.
Gratitude.
Inquiring, Prabhu.
Obedience. Humility. Anyone online? If they're getting to hear
Inquiring, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Start
Standing
typing.
around duality.
Discipline.
Inquiring,
The
Prabhu.
process of
Inquiring.
hearing is based on hearing. I'm not saying you'll see that here. You see the second chapter of first canto, same thing. What did Maharāja say? Shavanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. The very first thing is, and it's not the only first thing, it is the last thing. This is one thing which remains consistent and constant all through. As a sadhaka, your faith develops through what? Through hearing. Once you become advanced, what do you do? More hearing. Krishna Katha, your taste keeps on developing. That is the sum and substance of this 18 to 23rd verses, but we'll still take a look at it. Sanat Kumar said, my dear King Pṛthu, I'm very nicely questioned by you. Such questions are beneficial for all living entities, especially because they're raised by you. Always thinking of the good of others. Although you know everything, you ask such question because that is the behavior of a saintly person, such intelligence befitting your position. Prabhu, you don't share a screen if there is a bandwidth issue. You can ask Madam Methavni to share. Okay, TK. We need some fan here, Prabhu. Give me a fan. It's getting hot. Like this. Text number 19 translate. When there is a congregation of devotees, their discussion, very important. When there is a congregation of devotees, their discussions, questions, and answers become conclusive to both the speaker and the audience. Thus, such meeting is beneficial for everyone's real happiness. Krishna, Arjuna, Sukadeva Goswami, Parishad Maharaj, Sutta Goswami, Shaunaka Rishi, Vidurji, Maitreya, we're taking advantage of that conversation. That is a point here. Text number 20. Sanat Kumar continued, my dear king, you already have an inclination to glorify the lotus feet of the Lord. Such attachment is very difficult to achieve. But when one has attained such unflinching faith in the Lord, it automatically cleanses lusty desires from the core of heart. Beautiful verse. Read the verse given the purport. Everyone together. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavan. Together. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti hatkarna rasayana kataha tajjosnada sapavagavatmani Shraddharatir bhaktir anukramishyati. Spoken by Lord Kapila by association with devotees. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido. Victory over everything. Dirty things in the heart of a materialistic man are gradually washed away by the grace of the Lord. As silver becomes shiny by being polished, the heart of a materialistic person devotees, in association of devotees, you get to do Machchita, Madgata Prana, Bodhiyantaha, Parasparam, Katyantas Chamam Nityam, Tushyanti Charamati. Remember, the other day I was speaking about giving an example of one teacher, his students, they will come, pin drop silence. Do they speak only about service or do they speak about the teacher? And if in case you begin to speak about the teacher, they'll be so excited, or Srila Prabhupada for that reason. That's the point here. Text number 21. So the point, just to give a full picture, speak carefully. Speech is a very, very dangerous thing, as we've been discussing about the quality of speech. Do not speak unless you are asked, if in case you're in the forum of a senior. And if you have to speak, think twice if I'm adding value or not. Otherwise, just have patience. Tomorrow you will be exhausted speaking. You'll have a lot of opportunity to speak. At least learn. Improve the quality of speech. Do not be conditioned and keep on speaking because I have got the tongue, I have to vibrate. That's not the point here. Be careful of that. Text number 21. It has been conclusively divided in the scriptures after due consideration that the ultimate goal for the welfare of human society is detachment from the bodily concept of life, an increased and steadfast attachment for the Supreme Lord who is transcendental beyond the modes of material nature. So what is the process of making advancement? Is to give a body concept of life and develop attachment to the Lord. So obvious question comes, how does one achieve this? Gives the body attachment and develops attachment to the Lord. There are 5 keys. This is a very important chapter, Pṛthu 4 Kumar's instructions. So is this like as much as Krishna spoke? Is at that level. So here Sanat Kumar gives 5 ways to develop detachment from body and attachment to the Lord. Text number 22. Sa Shraddhaya Bhagavat Dharma Charyaya
Sa Shraddhaya Bhagavat Dharma Charya
Jigyasa Adhyatmika Yoga Nishtaya
Jigyasa Adhyatmika Yoga Nishtaya
Yogeshwarupasanaya cha Nityam
Yogeshwarupasanaya cha Nityam
Punya Shava Kathaya Punyaya cha. So what are the 5 things which Sanat Kumar speaks to Pṛthu Maharaj, how to develop attachment or how to achieve the goal? First, attachment for the Supreme can be in is not just by chanting 16 rounds you develop attachment. Chanting means chanting and hearing. His Holiness Swami Maharaj used to do this 3-day japa workshop, and every japa workshop, I attended multiple of it, every japa workshop he'll have this main theme. Your quality of chanting can only improve when your quality of hearing improves. If you're not hearing regularly, you cannot have attention in chanting the holy names of the Lord. This speaking of the mantras, you become receptive when you regularly hear Krishna Katha. That's the first thing. Second, the full morning program. Second, inquiring about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right inquiries. Third, applying Bhakti Yoga in life. There's going to be some very beautiful instructions coming forward. So applying Bhakti Yoga in life. Applying Bhakti Yoga in life is a little vague. What about applying Bhakti Yoga in life? Sanat Kumar will not leave it vague. He will precisely say what it means. Third. Fourth, worshipping the Yogeshwara, which means worshipping the Lord. And fifth, by hearing and chanting about the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Punya Shava Kathaya Punya Yacha. By hearing about the Lord and chanting the Lord. These are the 5 ways that Sanat Kumar speaks about attaining attachment to the Lord. So there's 2 beautiful verses which are mentioned in the purport. Let's take a look. These are important verses. Prahlad Maharaj also said it's about taking a shelter of pure devotee. Together, Naishamatistavat urukramangrim svashati anarthapagamo yadarthaha mahiya sampadarajo Niskincanananarnitayavat Mahiya Sampadarajo Bhishekam. Take shelter of the lotus feet of this person who is known to be Niskincananam, who has no other aspiration except for serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So conclusion, at the end of the purport, Prabhupada writes, the conclusion is that to increase attachment for the Lord, one has to accept a bona fide Guru. Learn from him the methods of devotional service. Hear from him about the message and glorification. In this way, one has to increase his conviction about devotional service. Then it will be very easy to increase attachment for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text number 23. One has to make progress in spiritual life by not. Okay, so very interesting. 22 talks about what to do. 23 talks about what not to do. Okay, text number 23. One has to make progress in spiritual life by not associating with persons who are simply interested in sense gratification and making money. So take association sadhu, give up association of asadhu. Okay? Not only such persons, but one who associates with such persons should be avoided. This is a repeated theme. This is a repeated theme in Bhagavatam. So, one is, let's say that verse comes twice in Bhagavatam. One is a womanizer. One is taking association of opposite sex, which is dangerous. Second is a womanizer, one who always thinks and talks about a woman. Among these two, Bhagavatam says, which is more dangerous? One who is always thinking and speaking, because he could be of the same gender and you might hear him, and that may agitate your mind. So you should be careful of that. Similarly, one is a sadhu, but one who is closely associating with a sadhu, that association also we should take care of. One should mold his life in such a way that he cannot live in peace without drinking the nectar of the glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Second chapter, there's a beautiful verse that talks about drinking the nectar through the years. One can be thus elevated by being disgusted with the taste for sense enjoyment. I remember it was long ago. I was traveling to Delhi. I was alone. Had been generally like that only. And I was on the upper berth. And there was this 4 or 5 men sitting down. And all through the journey, these guys kept on talking of some rascal topic. And what was the topic? All of them were talking about their extramarital affairs. This was the whole conversation going on like this. I was up on the this thing, and there's a time when I didn't have an earphone. This is back in 2012 or 13. I didn't have earphone or nothing. I had, I just couldn't even plug my ear holes not to hear. And I could see that just by the filthy conversation, I was getting affected. I'm not taking association of opposite gender. I'm in the kupa, which is all male kupa. Even in that all male kupa, because of having a wrong association, I was getting affected. So this is how we have to be careful. So don't say, okay, there are no opposite sex, I can be safe. No, that's not like that. It's a matter of consciousness gets affected. That's the point we mentioned here. Prabhupada writes, a fantastic purport. Second paragraph. Simple negation, a giving up the company of materialistic person will not do. Okay, should I give up association? Prabhupada said, no, it will not work like that. So what will happen? We must have engagements. Sometimes it is found that a person interested in spiritual advancement gives up the company of material society and goes to a secluded place as recommended for the yogis especially, but that will also not help a person in spiritual advancement, for in many instances such yogis also fall down. You're getting the point is, let's talk about the grihasthas here, for example. So maybe the grihasthas have become very serious and sincere, now they're not having worldly association. They live around the devotee community and they don't go out for parties, they don't go out for much family events, and they have been taking care of that. But largely they have been spending time with their family. But if they do not have a meaningful engagement, it will not serve the purpose. It's just like living like a life of a yogi in a secluded place. I've heard from seniors who have been around the movement for decades altogether, requesting, I need a service or my wife needs a service, although we have been practicing, but we have no meaningful engagement. It just doesn't work out. So that's the point Prabhupada is saying here. Sometimes found that a person interested in spiritual advancement, give up the company, goes to a secluded place. In our case, we would say they're living by themselves, but they do not have any active service engagement. It's a dangerous situation. It really doesn't work like that. You're still being caught up at your family affairs. How much ever you may want to withdraw, you cannot give up mobile phone. then you will take association through the social media of all those worldly people who you have externally renounced. Yes or no? Think about it. Maybe let's say a man is working, a lady is at home. Then a mother will take a lot of association of that mobile phone. Is that correct, mother? So many times I hear this. And I often tell our mothers, why? The problem is they don't have engagement. Now, in a current scenario, how do we create an engagement for mothers? What can we do about it? Do we have a service that they can come to center or make garlands every day? Everyone has got somebody to handle their household affairs. There is a maid coming to clean the house. Sometimes they may have a maid even to cook. There's a lot of time remaining. Now, for how many rounds will you chant after 16 rounds on a daily basis? How many minutes or hours will you read Bhagavatam? If we have that taste, that's a different thing. Even for those who have a taste, then they would want to share with somebody because it begins to feel bottleneck. अरे मैं सुन रहा हूँ मुझे कहीं तो बोलना है. Again, you ask for engagement. So our family time have to be balanced. Our family time should not become only with family. Our family time has to become also with the community where we render service. If we don't render service, this is what's going to happen. Simple negation will not make a difference. And those individuals, then they will, look at the WhatsApp messages and they'll make their perceptions, comments about different Vaishnavas, different this and that, like this. Okay, looking at the purport below, the beginning of devotional service is to hear about the Lord. This is recommended in this verse, Vina Hare Guna Piyushapana. One must drink the nectar of the glories of the Lord. This means that one must be always engaged in hearing and chanting. It is the prime method for advancing in spiritual life. So how do we make advance in spiritual life? Hearing. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also recommends this in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. If one wants to make advancement in spiritual life, by great fortune, he may meet a bona fide spiritual master and from him learn about Krishna. By serving both the spiritual master and Krishna, he gets the seed of devotional service. So, if hearing is a process, I have a fundamental question. Now, there is all online resources available. You have direct access to Prabhupada lectures. You have direct access to thousands of your Guru Maharaj lecture. And apart from Guru Maharaj, there could be other fantastic personalities who are giving lecture. Then why should we organize a daily Bhagavatam lecture? We can just play the recordings. What do you suggest? Now let the seniors ask. Let the young one take a chill right now. Those who have been around, is a question for them. What do you think about it? Is it a valid proposition? You like to hear from somebody, you like to hear from your guru. Why not we just have 7 days Prabhupada lecture? Nobody else who can be far more better than Prabhupada. Why every center, every temple should have their own Bhagavatam class? If the premise becomes, we should hear one lecture of Srila Prabhupada, we should hear one lecture of Guru Maharaj, and we should hear one lecture of our favorite speaker. 3 lectures is enough for a grasta. Then for whom Bhagavatam class have been organized? Why? What's your stake? How many of you, first of all, think it's a valid proposal, yeah? Let's play a recording here. For every day we can play, one day we can have His Holiness Lokanath Maharaj lecture, second day we can have His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, third day His Holiness Bhanu Swami Maharaj, fourth day Bhakti Charu Maharaj, fifth day Radhanath Maharaj, sixth day Prabhupada, seventh day Japada Goswami Maharaj. Jai. How many say sadhu, sadhu, hari bol? Isn't it? कितना बढ़िया रहेगा? I mean, उससे अच्छी वाणी किसकी हो सकती है? The pure devotees of the Lord. So how many of you think, no, this is not the right way? Raise your hand first of all. How many think this is not the right way? Okay, second way. Prabhu, what is the need to come to temple for hearing class? Anyways, I'm a congregation, I have no time. I'll hear, most important hearing is hearing of Prabhupada, then hearing of Guru. And then I'll hear one lecture of my favorite speaker from Alana Prana Desh, from Abragadabra. How many think it's a good proposal? 3 क्लास सुन ली ना, 1-1 घंटे की भागवतम हफ्ते में, इससे ज़्यादा hearing क्या करेगा गृहस्था बेचारा? This is how the idea sometimes floated, बेचारा. अच्छे खासे healthy आदमी को तुम बीमार बना रहे हो बेचारा बोलकर. Unnecessarily you're sowing the seed of doubt that you cannot do more than 3 classes by saying that. Somebody even wants to progress, you're hampering the progress by saying that, no, 3 क्लास ज़्यादा मत सुनना, 3 क्लास काफ़ी है, एक प्रभुपाद की, एक गुरु महाराज की, तीसरा favorite speaker. So then why have regular Bhagavatam class? We can have Brahmachari class because of Grihastha तो आना नहीं है. Then I can have Bhagavatam class every day, Brahmachari class. So what is your thought? What do you think? But think, not think. Give me some praman. Guru Sadhu Shastra. What is the culture? What culture Prabhupada have established? Yes, Ashur, we'll hear from you. Anyone online would like to say something on this? I'd like to hear. Let's have a discussion on this. Sometimes this small things, we make it such a big, then these verses have no relevance. The process of advancement is hearing, and we are just not permitting hearing. By bringing all kind of lame excuses, lame reasons, and I don't know from where it is mentioned like this, one lecture of Guru, one lecture of Prabhupada, one lecture of favorite speaker. Show me in any purport Prabhupada wrote like this. Have you ever heard Prabhupada said in any class, have you read in any of the purport like this? If that is the case, it was Prabhupada who instituted Bhagavatam classes, then Prabhupada is wrong. Then Prabhupada would have said this temple class is only for temple residents. Where Prabhupada said like this? What does Krishna says instead? Machchita madgata prana bodhiyanta paraspara. What is the machchita madgata prana? Among whom? Among the devotees. Which devotees? American devotee and Indian devotee? Which devotee? It's a local devotee. Machchita madgata is in person. And then how do you practice? I know by text number 4, dadati pratigranati guhyam akhyati prachati. How do you practice guhyam akhyati prachati? What is the principle of guhyam akhyati? One person reveals, other person inquires. Now, if you obstruct this process, you are obstructing Vaishnava relationship. You obstruct Vaishnava relationship. Where is the question of your advancement? From where these figments of ideas we are floating around, people talk around, okay, they have no praman, nothing. And then, in the congregation, the excuse comes, Prabhu, family time, we need to time family, we need to give time of professional life. Who said no? Then you make a choice, you belong to a community or not. You can be like a yogi living in your house, keep hearing the online classes, like that. How would if, when you have to give a lecture, your attendance, you will definitely come. But when other gives, if you're not in the audience, why would somebody else come and hear from you? Tell me. Is it unfair, yes or no? If you say I'm a part of the same community, I belong to the same community, whenever you have to give your lecture, you're very enthusiastic about speaking. And you want to make sure I'm there. But when others are speaking, if you're not there because I'm hearing from my favorite speaker, because I have a professional responsibility, family responsibility, are we building community? We're destroying community. Which just doesn't make sense to me. You have your genuine reasons, okay, but do not float such ideas to unnecessarily hampers others' inclination to hear from each other. You want to practice it, practice it. Why are you promoting and speaking about others? This is the practice. Where is the praman given like this? Which Prabhupada letter, lecture, Prabhupada purport? Or you quote Goswamis for that reason. Guru Sadhu Shastra? Show me where it is written. Now, if somebody, let's say Prabhupada had written a letter is for a person. That person can have a particular situation. And in that situation, if an advice is given, you cannot pull out that letter and say, Dekho Prabhupada ne kaha. If you want to say that, then you bring the context of that devotee for which Prabhupada is giving that answer. Yes or no? If, let's say, I am having a conversation with somebody in privacy, in private, and let's say I'm having a conversation with my senior, and the senior tells me something, does it become applicable for everyone? Let's say I'm having a health issue. My senior tells me, okay, you eat once in a day. Now, should I come and propound this philosophy to everyone? हाँ भाई अंशुल, कल से एक दिन खाना खाएगा तू. क्यों? गुरु साधु शास्त्र. It doesn't work like this. There has to be practicality about it. So what's the conclusion on hearing? What should be done? Is this community classes should be there or not there? What is an understanding on that? Understanding should be there is okay, but if you don't have an understanding, then you'll get carried away with vague ideas. Yes.
So, Prabhuji, from my personal experience, what I felt is that attention and attentiveness is increased more when we are together listening a subject. Also, we get inspired more by seeing other devotees, how they are reading the Shastras and getting prepared and, delivering the subject. So we also get infused with that, and a little bit enthusiasm increases for the service.
And most importantly, whom do you inquire? You can't inquire to an online forum about your situation because the person who has to give an answer has to know you to give an answer. Guru-disciple relationship is always very personal. Don't make it a remote mechanism like this. Even if not guru-disciple, even a student relationship for that reason. You can't take advice and guidance from your that favorite speaker who's living in some Abra village, who you're hearing online, Zoom or YouTube, and who has no time, who doesn't know you, who is not training you and cultivating you in your Krishna consciousness. Just by hearing his class, you're getting inspired, which is wonderful. There's no problem in it. But would you still have an access to ask questions to him? This is called as, what do you call as stardom. I was giving an example of stardom of Akshay Kumar. Akshay Kumar doesn't know how much she is attracted to him. For Akshay Kumar, this is some unknown person. Hey, move away. Should not bring the stardom culture in our community. Hear from some stars and all that. You hear if you like, there's no problem. Then do not at least say that morning classes, no, we will not come because I'm hearing my Guru Mahārāja. In our Brahmachari ashram, it is a rule. Even if Guru Mahārāja is giving a lecture, you have to go and hear a Bhagavatam class. At the same time, if your Guru Mahārāja is giving a lecture, let's say His Holiness Dadanath Maharaj is giving lecture in Chopati. We are in Pune. If you are in temple, you're supposed to attend temple Bhagavatam class. But it looks like it violates a principle. If a pure devotee is giving a class, we should hear pure devotee class. Or let's say advanced devotee is giving a class, we should hear an advanced devotee class. Then somebody who is still in the process of becoming advanced, maybe advanced, no doubt about it, then it violates the principle. But which principle it establishes? When you say that you hear the temple class in comparison hearing online class of your Guru Maharaj which is going live. Of a community spirit. Of a community spirit. I remember I had a lecture scheduled and I got a message that His Holiness Chaitanya Maharaj is coming, sudden visit, and he's coming to Kunj Bihari. So I said, yaar, मैं खुद ज़्यादा नहीं आता temple. I would also like to go and hear Jayavad Maharaj's lecture. Let's cancel my class. So, बोला नहीं, class cancel नहीं होती. So I wrote to Radheshyam Prabhu because I'm in the policies of Bhagavatam, in terms of culture and etiquette, I decide on that. So I wrote to Radheshyam Prabhu. I said, Prabhuji, I happen to be the speaker tomorrow, and this is my suggestion. Prabhuji, if we have such an advanced person is coming to speak in Pune, in a different temple, so be it. But we are same community that way. So Prabhuji, why don't, I'm going to speak, who's going to listen to me? It doesn't make sense. I feel we should cancel my class, and I would really prefer, I would like to hear Maharaj's class. Let's project. To those who cannot go to camp, let's play a projection. Project Maharaj class, which is given in a camp in NVCC temple. Let's project and let's hear Maharaj class. How does it sound? How many does it sound fair and good? Please raise your hand. Practical. Same community, Kunj Bihari, अभी अलग temple हो गए, but पहले तो ये तो समय की बात है जब मैंने both were same temple, working under the same umbrella. Radheshyam Prabhu's reply was clear. Madan Sundar, it cannot happen like this. If you have been scheduled, please give your class. Give your class as a service. Because your class is heard by Prabhupada, your class is heard by deities, and your class will be heard by whoever is there. For their sake, out of service, you should give the class. You should not skip from your service. Those who want to hear from Jayadvaita Maharaj, they should go and hear. Then I said, Puji, what about me? I also want to hear. Puji said, no. Service first. You go and give. I remember मैं कितने मुश्किल जाके class करा मैं कहा यार क्या है I want to. This has to see. Can we just function anything, or it has to be rule-based law? There has to be some law which function. But say no, you have to do that. Yeah, Bhagavatam has to continue like that. What to speak about? Then hearing your Guru Maharaj lecture, which is in some other city, If you're in the temple, you should. So grihasthas are given okay, they don't want to come, at their home they want to hear, it's up to them. But at least come few days for whom it has been built. If you don't come together, remember that I had arranged a lecture from the leadership of Malaysia, and this, क्या नाम है उनका? Remember the name? याद हो तो बोलो, speculate मत करा करो तुम, सोच समझ के बोलो. क्या नाम था उनका, भूल गया. So he had come, he's been practicing since 1990. He is the financial advisor for the whole community there. And along with him, he brought the devotees who started the community in 84, 85. Those Matajis were also there. At the end of it, I asked the question, I said, Prabhu, you're growing so nicely. There are so many centers have come up, although the government is not favorable, Malaysia, you understand? Oh, कौन सा है वो मुल्ला क्या नाम है हाँ नाइक जी वहाँ पे बैठे हैं नाइक is sitting giving shelter. It's not a very favorable country in that way, yet you are growing. Literally every city has got centers. Your brahmacharis, you have such a fantastic congregation. What is the secret? Then he said in that talk, he said, let me introduce my seniors here. These are the one who actually started, and I want them to answer. Anyone remember what answer they gave?
Very strong.
Yeah, they said, since 85, when this community started, these people have not missed out Sunday feast. They make a point every Sunday they are there. Because if they are not there, why would younger people come? And their temple on Sunday, everyone comes together. And they are growing together. How much we struggle on the name of some this, some that, and some philosophy, this and that. It just doesn't make sense like that. For somebody, something has been said, doesn't mean it becomes a rule. It has to be seen according to time, place, circumstance. So then Mataji said, yes, we make sure we are there. Because if seniors would not come, the juniors will also have an excuse, no? Some role model has to be there like that. That's the point here. The purport is that one cannot live outside the society of devotees. Then what do you mean living inside the society of devotees if you don't come together and hear from each other? If you're living inside the society, for example, I gave an example, I make that point in the family time program also. I was in Nairobi, Kenya. One of the best community model I could see. They got a beautiful temple, surrounded the temple, it's all temple property, and they have built high-rise building, bungalows, studio. They've got all different types of accommodation. Somebody is economically poor, somebody is economically great. Everyone can be accommodated. Everyone around his whole congregation. Morning Bhagavatam class, nobody comes. I was there for a week. Everyone is busy pulling us to come to their home. Please come to our house, please come to our house. And everywhere I went, I asked this one question only. I said, you want us to come and speak to you. Why don't you come when even we are giving Bhagavatam class in the temple? Then I spoke to the president there. He said, Prabhu, even His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Mahārāja tried and tried and tried. I don't know what has gone wrong with the community. They just didn't turn up for the morning class. Then we had a Sunday feast lecture. So we had two lectures. One is Sunday morning and Sunday afternoon lecture. So one lecture I had to give, another lecture Damodar Prabhu had to give. So now the question was asked, कौन आने वाला है? अभी तो कोई दिखा नहीं. So he says Sunday morning lecture, again the same people who live in the temple, some boys, and maybe some one or two congregation will come. So I said, Sunday feast में कौन आएगा? बोले Sunday feast में प्रभु जी public आएगी. Between that, we had a specific seminar. Some congregation came for the specific seminar. Although such a huge community, I could say there is a full high-rise building, there are duplexes, there are 1 BHK, there are bungalows. It's a big campus. So, the purport is that one cannot live outside the society, but you're not able to live inside the society also. How it is? One must live in the association of devotees where there is constant chanting and hearing of the glories of the Lord. And I can tell you, each one of them had so many issues with each other. Every day people come and meet. And because of so much diversity, they have got different guru model. Leadership was so wonderful. Gopal Krishna Maharaj and his leadership, they're all inclusive. They don't, they bring everyone together like this. Maharaj model is temple-centric. Radha Govind Maharaj disciple have issue with, Radhanath Maharaj disciple. Nadanama disciple had an issue with his Gopal Krishna Maharaj disciple. Everyone had some issue with each other. My question to you, how do you reconcile the differences? The only process to reconcile differences, dadhati, pratigrayanati, guhyam akyati prachati. Okay, tell me this thing. The first thing that you will do once you have a difference with other person, what will you do the first thing? The first thing that you will do that you have a difference with other person is, you'll stop hearing from that person. And the process to overcome the difference is only hearing. You don't want to say, no, I will not hear from him. Why? There is a difference of opinion. Even if you're sitting in the assembly, you will pretend to be hearing, your mind will be all over the place. Yes or no? So you cannot rise above the differences if you don't come together. So we have to see what kind of community we want to build. When I went there, I was so scared. मैंने कहा यार ये इसके लिए करा जाता है सब कुछ. You know, you do everything and after that nobody comes for the morning program. Then how do you empower those congregation? There has to be some visible sadhana. Na? Somebody says, I'm hearing. Oh, who you are hearing? पता लगा वो प्रेमानंद महाराज का सुन रहा हो. Some Yoganand Baba, some Baba, किसी का सुन रहा हो. So how do we know what they're hearing? How do we empower and engage people? It's just not possible. The Krishna conscious movement is started for this purpose. What purpose? One must live in the association of devotees where there is a constant chanting and hearing of the glories of the Lord. Which means Machita Madgata Prana. The Krishna conscious movement is started for this purpose so that hundreds of ISKCON centers may give people a chance to hear and chant, to accept the spiritual master and to disassociate themselves from persons who are materially interested. For in this way, one can make solid advancement going back home, back to God. Oh, I'm so sorry, it's 9:10. I'll have to pause here. I didn't notice the point. Okay, so we'll pause here. These are very important purpose. Next, Pṛthu Maharaj will ask, how can we make our mind more receptive to Krishna Katha? So in this set of verses, Sanat Kumar will keep on increasing the level of conversation, how to practice bhakti, starting from hearing, how to move forward in bhakti. All right, any questions or comment? All right, Jagadur Srila Prabhupada ki. Yeah, Parjani Prabhu?
Not an important question. You may feel to answer it. What was the demography of that Kenya, Nairobi community?
Largely
More
Indian.
Indians?
Largely Indians.
Mostly
Largely
Indians?
Largely.
Native are very less.
There were natives also, but see, Indians are not able to go with Indians. So native and Indians are out of question. That's another level of challenge they had. But majority were Indians, they themselves are not, they may have some level of relationship, but that community spirit was not there. It was just not there. That's the reason they called us for devotee care program. Even after going there, people would come and meet in person, but in the session, only handful of leaders came. Many of them were not even leaders. Many of them were young people like that. Young people means either born to a devotee family, things like that. Only handful came actually. So like that was the situation. Okay? Yes, Kaushal Prabhu?
One quick thing. I was just this 5 points that was spoken, right? On that was first point was practicing devotional service, and third was applying bhakti yoga in life. What is the difference between these two? It's the same thing.
Application that will come in the next verse. It's a very nice thing he said. I said this is going to come ahead. I didn't less the time. So applying how to practice the application. Those things will be mentioned by Sanat Kumar. Very beautiful things. One of the things will be ahimsa. Other thing will be tolerance. And fantastic purport. Prabhupada explains what is ahimsa. Prabhupada says example of ahimsa is somebody tells you something, you tolerate. But somebody tells something to devotee, do not tolerate. So like that, Prabhupada gives a beautiful example of it. So we'll see that in the purport. And these are long purports. Prabhupada have also given us good insight into it. Okay? Applying, it is just subject matter is just building up now. So tomorrow is going to be the last class. We'll cover whatever we can cover because I really like this verses. They're very important for practical life. So if we can cover it, we'll cover it. I don't think we'll be able to cover because there's a lot of set of instructions by Sanat Kumar. So we'll discuss whatever we can discuss and then we'll discuss next month in November whenever I get a chance to speak again. Jagadur Srila Prabhupada ki. Thank you all for your kind attention. Hare Krishna.